Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Depths, back with another Kamihime project video. Sorry it's taking a while to get this video out. Been pretty busy the last few weeks or so, plus I now have a job on top of that, so kind of slow on updating things, and then on top of that, I've slowed down on quite a few games. Although I have picked up a few others, expect a video on one of them pretty soon. But anyways, this event, it's an advent event, and you're pretty much going to have to be on your own for that one, so make sure you're strong enough to actually deal with all the fights. This one's interesting on the fight mechanics, but as far as it goes with the rewards, it's pretty basic. So, wind is the advantage. Wind is the element of the enemy, so fire is going to be your advantage. If you can't use fire, try to use basically anything but thunder, but even then, advent events are still easy enough to where even a player that basically raised nothing but thunder can still do pretty well in it. But still, just remember, if you're using thunder, you're at a disadvantage, meaning you're definitely going to start taking more damage. You'll be dealing less, because you get penalized for that a little bit. Because there's like an elemental resistance that enemies get towards you. And then on top of that too, you won't be able to debuff them as often if you're using thunder, so be careful with that. But usual stuff applies when it comes to these events. Grab as much of the SSR stuff as you can, especially the 1/10 tickets, because they are invaluable for free players. If you are a free player, you need to grab these tickets because they're your only guaranteed SSR. Your only ones that you can basically grind for. But my suggestion, you definitely do want to get the SSR stuff, get the tickets, get the definitely get the skill spears too, because you need that skill experience later on, trust me on that. You do need the books eventually, especially since we're getting close to the point where we're going to start getting more stuff in the game that actually uses those books, so you may want to stockpile on that. Because I know off the top of my head, there's a magic value system where you're going to need those books to level up your characters. There's also the new souls that's later down the line. They're going to start taking a lot more of those books as well. So definitely try to stockpile on some books if you don't have a very healthy supply. And when I mean healthy, I mean triple digits. At least that much before you don't have to think about it. But also magic jewels, without saying, you might want to stockpile on those as well, because there's going to be quite a few limited banners coming up, 2 of which are crossovers, so they will not be returning. Well, 3 actually, but the 3rd one's not until like next year. But there's still a lot of limited stuff along the way. They can return. The crossovers do not. If you are going to dump magic jewels on one thing and one thing alone, it is going to be the crossover banners. They are very good characters. You want to grab them. However, there's also limited characters that you may want to try and go for too. So my suggestion, even though the characters pretty much from every banner hero on out will have at least one or both very good characters, you want to save for the limited ones. You want to save for the crossover ones specifically. So definitely try to stockpile on those magic jewels. You may also want to stockpile on the soul points, because again, new souls are in the game on Japanese side. They've got batch 1 already, and they're bound to get batch 2 pretty soon. I just don't know when. They are stronger than the souls that we have in the game right now, so you're definitely going to want to make sure you have enough soul points for that. And you also may need those soul points for extra stuff that happens to give that they give to the previous S-Class souls, which is like Medea, Caspar, and all of them. They get new toys to play with too. Going to take a lot of stuff for that as well. So soul points, definitely want to have a very good supply of those. Other than that, it's the usual stuff. But for anybody that's really trying to like keep a weapon grid for a while, you always want to get the SSR weapon that has the final break ability, where you can get the 4th star, because it will last you a long time. They're better than the ultimate ones. So, that's something to remember. Now, you definitely need to be rank 100 in order to do Ragnarok Plus, but you don't necessarily have to be able to do that. You do want to be able to at least get some stuff from it, because you do get some rewards for clearing Ragnarok Plus that help with the grinding. But, Ragnarok is definitely the point you want to be at for grinding. Ultimate, that's probably the lowest that you want to be. If you can't clear Ultimate, go back and get stronger. You can get stuff from Epic Quests and all that. And before anybody asks, I have done guides on a lot of this stuff, so if you want, you can check that out as well. I'm pretty much the only guide maker on YouTube, since it seems like nobody really wants to do guides on this for video. But getting into the fight, the interesting thing about the boss is that she starts off with a barrier, and it will resist a percentage of her damage, basically. What it's based on is essentially 10% of her HP when it comes to standard, and when it comes to expert and above, it is, I'd say, 1/9 of her HP. It is equal to 1/9. So you're going to have to get through that barrier before you can actually start hurting her. Make things even worse is the fact that she will eventually put attack and defense down on you, and on top of that, a special damage over time debuff, which is called Tornado. It stacks, and she does it every so often. It is like multiples of 5 turns, and it is permanent. So if you're not getting rid of those stacks, you're definitely going to end up having a lot of your HP go down. So you do want to have some sort of healer or somebody that can remove debuffs off of you. And you definitely want to be able to hit hard in order to get rid of that barrier. That barrier is just, it's immediate, so that's something to know. You cannot erase it through buff removal. So you gotta deal extra damage, basically. Now, other than that, is the same usual stuff. She's got like 12, well, combining the barrier, she's got 12 million for Ragnarok Plus. Ragnarok, she's got 3 million. And Ultimate, she's got almost 1.5 million. I think it is 1.5 with the barrier included. But other than that, again, just basically be careful what she does when it comes to debuffing you. She can remove she can lower your wind resistance, she can lower your defense. That combined is going to mean a lot of damage she can do to you, especially in raging mode. She can lower your attack power, which combined with the barrier can slow you down as well. She's got damage over time. This is the point where events expect you to know what enemies can do, more or less. But they're still easy if you're over leveled, or I should better off say have a strong enough grid. But you do have to pay attention to this fight if she actually can put up a fight for you. So pay attention to what she does. Have some debuff removal for your team. You can't remove the barrier, so don't even worry about buff removal. You definitely want to have a healer though. You're going to need one. If she can last more than a few turns against you, you are going to need a healer. Now, of course, the usual stuff when it comes to these the primary event rewards, I should say. Getting her as an Adoan Nekhbet. I haven't said her name this whole video, but it's hard to pronounce it. But in a main slot, she gives 40% wind elemental attack, and she also gives a combo rate increase. This is very good, considering that you're going to want a combo rate increase anyways, just to be able to deal more normal attack damage. So, for free players, it can actually be a pretty good add-on. She also will give a barrier. I don't know how strong it is, but she can give a barrier when she's summoned. So, she'll still have some sub-slot capability, because you never know. If you can reduce damage low enough with like attack down and damage cut and defense, then barrier can stack on top of all that and probably finish off the rest of the damage you would have had. It is pretty strong when used correctly, so that's one of the ones you definitely want to hold on to, add-ons that can create a barrier. Now, the weapon itself, like I said, large defender, medium assault. All of the weapons from these events, advents and raid events, they will give a large and a medium when it comes to their weapon skills. These are better than ultimate raids. Get them if you don't have anything better. And you probably won't have anything better for quite a while, looking at how win grids are. So, that said, you're going to want this. Another thing that you may or may not want, because I have to go over this one. There is a free rebellion weapon for wind. Again, we've had one before, but this time it is large rebellion with small defender. It cannot final break, but Rebellion is another multiplier for damage, and multipliers are very powerful when used correctly. This one's a bit risky though, because with Rebellion it works kind of like Pride, where you have to have lower HP to get the better effect. But since it does give you another multiplier, and the fact that we already have a wind weapon that gives 2 sets of Pride, this actually could be useful in the right hands. My suggestion, get this weapon, test it out and see if it works for you. But if your HP is super low, or you don't have a really tanky team, because Wind does have quite a tanky lineup, you just need to be lucky to pull those characters. But if you don't have either one of those, then Rebellion with Pride is not going to be that helpful for you. So, again, test this out, because it could be more useful than you think, despite the fact that it can't final break. And when it comes to a lot of the weapons and all that too, the weapon skills tend to be more important than the stats. At least until you get to the malicious raids. And that's not until rank 140. So that said, what you get for your weapon skills may or may not break you. So test this out and see if it works for you. Because again, damage multipliers are very powerful when used correctly. Other than that, this is the usual stuff when it comes to the missions. Basically clear with certain rarities, clear without using elixirs. Standard stuff. If you're strong enough, this will be a cakewalk. Now, the only other thing I can really mention is that now with the final break at Dolan's, and then also the well, they're called Final Break 2, but they're nicknamed Ultimate Limit Break by the community. But basically with the 5-star weapons and the 5-star Idolans, you may or may not want the EXP spears for weapons and Idolans on top of the skill spears. That's up to you if you want to grind those. But quite frankly, there's an easier spot to just get those if you really want to. Just go into the caves and get that stuff there. But I do have to mention it because there is a lot of stuff in the game that can eat up your skill experience, your skill orbs, all of that. It can eat up so much of your stuff without you knowing. And that's at later points in the game. When you get to rank 140, that's when that stuff starts getting sucked up like a black hole. I'm not kidding. So you may want to stockpile on a lot of that stuff. My suggestion is to do it in advance, because if you're one of the players that are nowhere near rank 140, now's a good time to build all that up. Just prepare in advance, because a lot of this game is just strictly grinding. And it's even more tedious grinding when you get to higher points, but it's all grinding. As of right now, we have 4 of the 6 malicious raids. Well, 7 if you include another one that's going to happen later on when the new souls hit. But we have 4 malicious raids right now. And those, they give some very, very powerful stuff, along with the ability to get weapons to their 5th star. At least for free. So, that said, you want to save up a lot of different stuff. So if you really want to go the extra mile, clear out this entire event list. And that's when you can stop. But if you're one of the ones that just wants the bare essentials, then basically grab what you need and move on to something else, because there is still a lot of other things to grind. But like I said, it's probably better to just prepare in advance, because again, you'll be amazed. I can say this with the straightest face. If you have 10 million weapon skill experience points, that can still run out pretty quickly, depending on what you're doing with it. So you do want to save up quite a bit. But anyways, that's all for this. More of this will come soon, because I still have a heroic video to upload from a previous event. Event's long over, but I'll still upload it anyways, because it will eventually get in the heroic record, like maybe a year later. But of course it's with my white team, so it's going to be pathetically easy, but I did it a special kind of way, so it's a little bit of a show-off type of video, but it's still something for you to watch if you want to. But anyways, that's all for this. More of this will come soon, and take care.